Bug out shelters, which one's best? Hello, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, you joined me today in this massive shelter, this parachute shelter that we use for courses. And we're going to talk about shelters today. We're going to talk about all the different types of shelter you can pack in your bug out bag, the different types of shelter available, and the pros and cons of each one. So if that's the thing you're interested in, stick around and we'll check it out. Firstly, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the channel and checking the videos out. So, bug out shelters. They range from the mere basic survival bags up to the state-of-the-art tents. So which ones do you pack in your bug out bag and which ones suit you best? So apologies first, there's a little bit of wind, that's why we're in a mic. Hopefully you can hear me, but yeah, just bear with it. So shelters, so what I'm planning on doing is just talking through the range of shelters you can pack in your bug out bag and the pros and cons of each one. So firstly, bug out bags, they're a personal item, and each bug out bag will be different depending on the individual, and then the shelter and all the other parts of the bug out bag will be different for everybody as well one day. Certain factors will determine what you put in it, what shelter you put in it, and that'll be a location, the time of year, how long you're bugging out for, and the individual skill set, isn't it? Someone who's highly trained like John Rambo, they might not need a shelter. All they need is their Swiss Army knife and they can fashion some sort of log cabin in the woods. And other people might need more creature comforts like a decent sized tent, air mattress and all that sort of palaver. And another factor will come into your decision on your shelter is who you're traveling with. Are you on your own, family, have you got kids? So all them things need to be considered what sort of type of shelter you choose. So the first thing we're going to look at is the survival bag. That's something I used to put in my bags all the time, just for emergencies. If you was out in the hills, not just for yourself, but if you come across someone who's injured. This is just a massive plastic bag, pretty durable, pretty heavy duty, where you can get yourself in and keep yourself warm. Yes, it will keep the rain off as well, to a certain extent, but because it's not breathable, you can get moisture build up inside, condensation from the heat loss from your body. Now the more modern versions are the bad weather bags, or blizzard bags you call them. Now these are a foil lined emergency bag, similar sort of purpose as the survival bag, but these are foil lined. A lot more lightweight to carry. They pack down really small, stick in your bag, but like I say, it's more of an emergency shelter rather than a more permanent thing. Now with the survival bag and the emergency bag, you can form certain shelters with them, but not ideal. More suited, as the name suggests, as an emergency. So the pros of these, very cheap, inexpensive, small, lightweight, will keep the weather off to a certain extent. The cons, or the downside of these, yeah, not ideal, maybe a one-time use object. There's no external cover. You're basically just sitting in a big bag, aren't you? And if it's seriously raining, wind blowing, cold, these only offer limited protection, don't they? So that's your emergency bag, your survival bags. The next step up from them is your bivy bag. This is the army issue bivy bag. Extremely good pieces of kit. Now these are breathable, so unlike the survival bags, you know, it's not going to retain your sweat or your condensate inside. They're waterproof, they're Gore-Tex lined, so they're going to keep the weather off you, aren't they? Off the ground. In a bug out scenario, you can unpack these, pack them up and move out, or bug out, pretty quick, can't you? You just get out your bag, shove it back in your bag and away to go. You can sleep just about anywhere of these. You find a sheltered spot, the ground is relatively dry, you can get on these and you can touch down. Now you can get army surplus Gore-Tex bags like these, or more modern versions like this pork bag. Again, it's Gore-Tex lines, weatherproof, but unlike the army surplus bags, it packs down a lot smaller and a lot lighter to carry. Plus you can get your ripstop bivvies, you can get your hoop bivvies. There's loads of different bivvy bags on the market. So yeah, the pros, you know, it's a one item thing, less to carry, it's robust, it's waterproof, it's breathable, quick to set up, quick to bug out. But just like the survival bags, a bivvy bag has its limitations as well, isn't it? It has its cons. Again, there's no head cover, and yes, it will keep the rain off, but in extreme weather, they are limited. You are on the ground, so you will need to insulate yourself off the ground as well. But as an emergency bug out shelter, They are a step up from your emergency bags, and a good bivy bag is a very good versatile piece of kit to have. So there's your bags, there's your bivy bags, your emergency bags, survival bags. So the next type of shelter I want to talk about are ponchos. So ponchos, one of my favourite items really for a bug out bag. Very versatile. There's loads of different types of poncho on the market. Something we issued years ago back in the army, before your basher shelters were issued. We had the ponchos. And not just the British Army, a lot of armies issued ponchos, and some I got in the shop at the moment are Dutch Army ponchos, DPM pattern. Extremely good pieces of kit. Very versatile, like I say. You can wear it to keep the weather off, even if you're wearing your rucksack. And not just that, you can use it to make a shelter. Now there's loads of different ponchos on the market. You've got your lightweight ripstop ponchos. You've got your heavy duty ponchos like your army surplus ponchos. You've got your Helican Tex ponchos, which is something in between. A bit more heavy duty than your ripstop ponchos, but not quite as heavy and bulky as your surplus. Unfortunately, a bit more money as well. So ponchos, why are they one of my favourites? Well, like I say, it's very versatile. If the weather takes a turn for the worse, you can get your poncho out, chuck it on, even over top of your bag, your rucksack, and it'll keep the weather off. And then if you do want to form a shelter, it's easy to do so. So there's your ponchos. The pros are, it's a one piece of kit that does a couple of jobs, isn't it? You know, you can wear it to keep the weather off and form your shelter. Easy to set up, quick to set up. Loads of different types in the market. They can pack down really small, like this Helican Tex. Put it in your bag. They can be extremely lightweight, like these ripstop ones, or extremely durable, like the army surplus. So ponchos are great for a bug out bag, I think. The cons, great, like I say, for emergency shelter, but maybe not so good for extended periods of time. Yes, they will give you that head cover, but because you've got to sleep on the ground, it could be wet, damp, cold, you will need to protect yourself from the ground. You will need a bivy bag or some sort of sleeping mat or some sort of makeshift bed to keep yourself protected off the ground. So all in all, I think for a bug out bag, a poncho is a great addition. So moving on from the poncho, I think the next option for a bug out bag shelter is your basher. Now these are a fantastic piece of kit. Obviously this is an army surplus one, but these form a great shelter. You can form your shelters in many different ways. Easy to set up. This is my one. I think it's got jungle knots already attached. You can get lightweight versions. This is the Fox basher. It's half the weight of the army surplus one. Unfortunately it's twice the money as well, but a great alternative. Packs down a lot smaller. Like I say, it's half the weight, but it does the same job. Just like the army surplus poncho, you can get a couple of boards underneath the basher, and you've got great head cover from the elements. So there they are. There's the basher. Like I said, extremely good piece of kit, and you can get different ones on the market. You don't have to have army surplus. There are new ones available from different brands. I got lightweight ones in the shop, the ripstop ones. They pack down really small, extremely lightweight. Yeah, they won't be as durable as the army surplus, and they're not quite as big, but they'll do a job, especially for one person. So the pros then for the basher, very versatile piece of kit. Many different shelters can be formed. Easy to put up, quick to take down if you've got a bug out. The cons, just like the ponchos, they do give you a good head cover, but you will need to give yourself some sort of protection off the ground. Either raising yourself off the ground using a sleeping mat or foliage, or get yourself a bivy bag, is it? Another con is, yeah, they are good for a short-term shelter option, aren't they? But perhaps if you're thinking more long-term, you might need something a bit more substantial than a basher. So there we are, there's the bashers. A great option for bug out bags, a very good piece of kit. And the next option is something similar to bashers, and that's your tarps. So tarps come in many different forms, many different sizes. You know, you've got small tarps. These are DD 2.8 by 1.5, probably the size of a small basher. 3x3s, great piece of kit. Plus you can get tarps 5 by 5 meters. So yeah, you can get huge tarps. Personally, I like the 3x3 size. It's not too big to put in your bag, but you can form many different types of shelter with the tarp. Because it's square, you can do your tarp tents, your plough points. You can do a whole range of shelter configurations with the 3x3. Yes, you can do it with the larger tarps as well, but you've got to bear in mind, the bigger they are, the more room they take up in your bag, and the heavier to carry, aren't they? Now, if there's a group of you, say you've got young kids, you might want to carry a bigger tarp, say a 4x4, 5x5, and get everybody under that one shelter. Or the other option is that everybody carries their own little personal shelter. If the kids are really small, obviously you don't want them sleeping on their own. You want to get them in a larger shelter, isn't it? So there's different pros and cons on which type of tarp you carry. But all in all, a tarp is an extremely good piece of kit. Now, I stock the DDs, but there are many different brands out there. I've used these in conjunction with hammocks. I've used tarp tents. I've done basic lean-to shelters, the lot of the tarps. So there we are, tarps. The pros of the tarps then, a bit like the bashers, extremely versatile, make up loads of different shelters. They can pack down really small, depending on which one you have. Put these in your bag, easy to set up, quick to take down. But unlike the bashers where it's one size, the tarps you can have many different sizes, like I said. So you can cover a whole different range of shelter options depending on the size of your party. Right, so the cons of the tarps, like the bashers and the ponchos, you've got good head cover but no ground cover. Yes, I know you can form ground cover, you know, your ground sheets by enclosing your tarp formations if you've got larger tarps, and you can obviously buy ground sheets, can't you? But if you're having a bigger tarp to form that sort of shelter, give yourself ground cover, bigger tarp, more weight, takes up more room in your bag, doesn't it? But apart from that, a tarp, a very good tarp, is an extremely good option for a bug out bag. Now we've had your emergency bags, your bivy bags, your ponchos, your bashers, your tarps. Now it's something for the next level, and that's your tents. Now you can get 1-man tents, 2-man tents, 3, 4, 6-man tents, no matter what it is, isn't it? Obviously the bigger the tent, the more it's going to weigh and the more room it takes up in your bag. But again, these factors obviously determined by how many of you are bugging out and where are you bugging out to, isn't it? So I got several different tents for myself. Starting off with this Terra Nova 1-person tent. A little bit pricey these are, but extremely good tents. British company. I got affiliate links of these guys, so they'll be in the description below. Extremely lightweight. This is less than a kilogram. That's with the poles. Packs down really small in your bag. So it's a great option for a 1-man tent. But again, there are different companies out there, different options. I got my 2-man tent. You can just automatically see the size difference. Twice the weight of this one, but obviously twice the room, isn't it? So again, if there's a couple of you bugging out, one can carry the tent and the other person can carry other stuff. Another option, TP tents, hot tents. Again, extremely lightweight. This is less than a kilogram. This is a 1 Tigris. Downside of this one, there's no ground sheet. So you have to carry an extra ground sheet, or again, you protect yourself off the ground by using a bivy bag or whatever you got. So, but again, a good shelter, extremely easy to put up. You know, you can put this up in less than 5 minutes. Again, with this one, less than 5 minutes put up. The 2-man tent takes a little bit longer to put up. But the best thing about tents is the cover it gives you, isn't it? The protection. Protection from the wind, the rain, and to some extent the cold as well. So like I say, the pros for the tent, you can get a different tent depending on your needs. You don't need any tying off points. You can pitch them in the middle of a field. They can come really lightweight, pack down really small. Extremely good protection from the elements. You've got extra cover on the vestibule areas where you can cook underneath, stow your bag and your boots. But the cons are they take a lot more time to put up, don't they? Some of the tents with the pole connections, you know, you can take 5 to 10 minutes to put the tent up. If it's raining, snowing, winds blowing, that could be a right nightmare, couldn't it? Alternatively, if you're bugging out and you've got to get away pretty quick, it takes a long time to pack up, doesn't it, the tent? They are bigger and heavier than your tarps, your ponchos and your bivy bags, your bashers, but like I say, they do offer more protection. And the last disadvantage of them, I suppose, is the price point, isn't it? You know, some of these cost £600-700 MSR, you know, you're talking £300-400. Yes, you can get cheaper ones out there, cheaper brands, but they're a lot more expensive than your tarps, your bashers and your ponchos, aren't they? But you've got to remember what you're paying for, isn't it? So there we are, that's tents. Now before I go to my last option, if you've got a different alternative for your bug out shelter, and I'm not talking your makeshift shelters, you know, using natural materials, whatever, put them in the comments below. I'll be always interested in what your points of view are. Again, these are just my options, my take on it. So last option for a bug out shelter is your hammock system. Now hammocks are a great piece of kit. They're not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody has a decent night's sleep in them. I find them a lot more comfortable than a tent, especially if you doing long walks. But a hammock is a great option for your bug out bag. Obviously not the hammock by itself, you need that sort of head cover, so it comes with a tarp. You can get diamond formation tarps or your rectangle tarps. So yeah, I stock the DD hammocks and the Highlander Crusader, which is one of my favourites, but there's loads on the market these days. There's loads of companies selling really good quality hammocks. So there we have hammocks. Like I say, the pros of it, they can pack down really small. You can get really small hammocks. This one's quite big because it's got my under quilt in it, like I said, and it's got all the tying off points, but they can pack down really small. A really comfortable night's sleep, so you're off the ground, so you don't need any insulation barrier from yourself to the ground. But again, you can use a camping mat just like the others to give you that extra comfort if you wanted to in the hammock, and extremely easy to set up, especially if you use the proper hammock slings. You can have these set up in a matter of minutes. So the cons of the hammock then, one thing, you're off the ground, aren't you? So I know it was a plus point before, but if you want to bug out pretty quick, it's harder, I think, to get out the hammock, pack that all away, perhaps than if you had a basher or a tarp, because not only have you got the hammock to pack away, you've got your tarp to pack away, get it all in your kit, and then bug out. So that's a con or a disadvantage. Another one is price point. Some of them can be very pricey. And then another disadvantage is obviously tying off points in it. You need a couple of trees, at least, or a couple of tying off points about 3 meters apart approximately. So yeah, if you're on open moorland, the hammock's no good to you, isn't it? So you need somewhere obviously to hang it. And I suppose another disadvantage is, unlike a tent or a tarp, basher, where you stow your kit. So you either put it underneath yourself, underneath the hammock, or hanging on a tree and put the rain cover on it. So there's a few different considerations about the hammock, and they're just some of them. So there we are, guys. There's all the different types of shelter you can pack in your bug out bag, from your basic emergency bags to a bivy bag, your poncho, your basher, your tarp, your tents, and your hammock systems. Each have the pros, each have the cons, and depending on certain factors, like I said, the weather, what time of year, your location, whether you're in the forestry, open moorlands, who you're traveling with, and how long you're going for. All these factors will determine what sort of ideal shelter will go in your bug out bag. Now, me personally, for a 24-hour bag, I go with the poncho. Now, if I was talking about an inch bag, never coming back, I'd probably pack a hammock together with a 3x3 tarp. Why, you ask? Well, a hammock, obviously, you can use if you're in the forestry or there's some sort of hanging points. You can put your hammock up, you've got your tarp for overhead protection. But if you come to a location, there is no trees, you're in the middle of open lands, you can still use your 3x3 tarp to form yourself a tarp tent or shelter, and use your hammock end for your protection off the ground, isn't it? Limited protection, yes I know, but at least some sort of protection. So it just gives you a couple of different options when you're thinking of bugging out for a long period of time. So there's a lot of different shelter options for your bug out bags. Yes, there's loads to choose from, but like I said before, it's personal, isn't it? If you want to learn more about bushcraft, prepping, bugging out, survival, there's a link below for courses to get on this year. Check them out. Partner up with Tom from Prepared Pathfinder. Get on his courses. Tom's got extremely wealth of knowledge about all this sort of stuff, and knowledge is key, isn't it? Knowledge will help you survive any situation. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you could hear me from the wind. I've recorded all this, I didn't even know I can hear myself. So if you do like the video, please think about liking, subscribing, hit the notification bell. If you want to see some more videos, check that one out, and that one, and I'll catch you again next time. All the best.